Alright, what's good everyone? It's Soulless Convoy here, back again with another review. Today we're going to be taking a look at Newage H49B Caligari, which is their slicer and or shattered glass wheeljack. Real quick, here's the box, cool box art. Side is the toy, back is the toy with some filter applied, and then the toy again. So that's box art out of the way. We're speeding right through this one, folks. I mean, I don't have much to say, so I'm gonna get right through it. Here's a look at the figure proper. Right off rip, you know, love that head sculpt. Let me just get it in better lighting. And the head sculpt looks great, love it. Really homages that Energon toy that Slicer is based on very well. It was a Botcoin toy using the original Energon downshift mold. So it looks great here. Coming down from the head sculpt, the torso is too boxy. These black pieces here give the illusion of like a smaller, slimmer waist and how big he is, so I applaud the paint choice there. But the overall shape of the torso is just a bit too boxy for me, in my opinion. There's a big issue in the thread as well. People criticized it, so I don't think I'm alone in that take. The arms look frankly simple. They look fine, so you turn them around and they have these panels behind the hands, which remind me of Age of Extinction of Evasion Voyager Optimus. Kind of insane to see it on a Legends class figure in 2024 with how like complicated this guy is. You figured they could hide these, but apparently not. You have good paint here. I love this translucent red plastic. The legs look pretty great. I mean, the paint work is fantastic. These are faux parts, but they look fantastic. I love this decal. He looks overall very clean. Then you come around to the back, and here's where things start getting hairy. This is just not tabbed in. So this is just gonna open like that. Whatever, it sits in place, right? I mean, it's tensed enough that it'll stay in place. You know what doesn't stay in place? This is after 3 coats of polyurethane, by the way. 3 coats of polyurethane. There's no ab crunch. This hinge right here is only a transformation joint. There is no ab crunch, and there's no telescoping ab crunch either. This hinge is entirely for transformation, does not lock into place. And this is after 3 whole coats of polyurethane. It's still too weak, because when I go to move the hips, the figure will just go backwards. So let's just get into articulation off rip, because again, if I keep talking about this toy, it's robot mode, I'm gonna get more and more negative. And the articulation is a big part of it. So the head is on a ball joint. It gets you everything a ball joint gets you. It gets you, it's way too tight. It gets you up and down, etc., etc., etc. You get a bit of side to side as well, like I have right here. Again, it's just way too tight. Shoulders on universal ball joints, which are great. You have double jointed elbows and a bicep swivel. You do have a wrist swivel, but because of this extremely aggravating panel behind the wrist, it's very hard to get any leverage, and they're super tight. So the instructions actually recommend you to use the gun to turn the wrist around, which is just so that's how you know it's messed up. That's again not great, but there is a wrist swivel. I just don't care enough to show it because it's such a pain in the ass. They're way too tight. Big problem with this guy. The hips, this is where everything goes to shit. So there's a waist swivel, right? And the geniuses who engineered this toy, basically, if you activate the waist swivel, the hips go this far. And then if you put the waist swivel back in the stationary position and then you activate the hips, you cannot use the waist swivel. It locks the waist swivel. I can't explain how much of a failure this is for a $50 Carbot. This is Newage we're talking about, who frequently makes some of the most articulated Legends class figures. This is a huge step down. Their very first figure, they're one of their very first Carbots, the Prowl mold, which you got barricaded from. I have it. People rag on it all the time for being ugly and dated. That is a working ab crunch. It has a working waist that works properly. This does not. It has a thigh swivel, which is ugly and breaks the sculpt. You have an ankle tilt, but watch this. You go to use it, and the pegs holding this leg together are so weak, the leg just disintegrates. People complained about it on Power Glide. I had no issue with it on Power Glide. I have a huge issue with it here. The ankle tilt, you have to like drop down the ankle because there's a hinge and a ball in here, so you get the full ankle. And even then, you get a lot of outward range, but because of the sculpting, you only get this much inward range. So, again, apparently somehow worse than Hound. Knee is only a 90. Nice. So worse than Hound in every single way, and the ankle isn't even an improvement. That's crazy. I sound super negative for this toy, guys, but that's just how this review is going to be. So the wings on the back are also articulated because who cares, right? Oh, and they're also die cast. Great, thank you. Yeah, so articulation, terrible for a $48 carbot. Not being able to use your waist and hips at the same time is it's just huge. Like, it's not like, oh, it doesn't have double jointed knees. That's an extra articulation point. This is less posable than Siege Sideswipe. I don't care if it has double jointed elbows. If I can't use the waist swivel and the hips at the same time, that is less articulated. That's less posable. It's less posable, not raw articulation count. It's less posable than any Hasbro Deluxe release this year. That is unacceptable for a Newage figure. Accessories, we have 3 accessories and they're all not that great. We have a gun based on Energon Downshift's gun, which is cool, but it's not actually accurate to the original gun. It's simplified and it looks honestly kind of stupid because it's way out of proportion for him. Not a fan. I don't know why I didn't pick this up in the promo images, but that's on my bad. You have 2 shoulder cannons based on the toy version of Wheeljack shoulder cannons that tab into these slots behind his head, and because of how there's not enough space for the head and these cannons to work, so if you poke the cannons in, your leverage for moving the head around becomes almost none, which is why I don't have the cannons on. And as you notice, when I put this figure down, it starts tilting back and the back starts moving, and it's just, oh my god, I love this toy. I love this toy. Sorry. I sound very aggressive and combative in this review, but I was very excited for this guy, and you know, I think a lot of people just constantly sung this figure's praises and drowned out any criticism, and I think it negatively affected my perception of the figure, which is entirely my own fault, really, but I really do wish people would be a bit more honest when they talk about these things. I don't think there's any need or desire to defend a third-party company to death. This is just a bad toy. I'm just gonna say, but I'm not even at my final thoughts yet, and I'm already calling it a bad toy. Because I just don't understand how I went through the entire Newage Wheeljack thread on TFW. There are 70 pages of posts and only 2 people called out the waist hip thing as an issue. How? If you did that on a Legacy Deluxe or a Legacy Voyager, people would be furious. So I don't get how that's not an issue for people. I mean, I guess if you just do this with a toy and never touch it again, it's fine. But as someone whose play pattern is heavily around posability and dynamic posing, this is a huge failure in my opinion. I'm going to check out the alt mode, but consider this basically my final thoughts. The gallery will be super short because I've already said everything I need to say about this toy here. The alt mode is great, by the way, so we'll get to that in a minute. I just wanted to show off one final thing. When I got this toy originally, before the 3 coats of polyurethane, if I did this, the hips would have drooped down all the way to here. This is tightened, and it still does not hold. So 3 coats, not 1 coat, not 2 coats, 3 coats cured independently of tightening fluid for that hip hinge joint. It's just a huge design oversight, man. Aesthetically, the toy looks great. I can't complain about that, but it's just a huge failure in terms of the engineering choices used to put things together, in my opinion. So let's get it. I'm just take a quick size comparison before we go to alt mode. As you can see, he's not big. He's not big. He is not big. Yeah, $48, $48, $70. Explain that to me. I can't explain it. It's just bad. It's just bad. I'm gonna get the alt mode real quick. All right, so here we are in the alternate mode, and I have to say the transformation is pretty fun. There's some steps I really don't like, but I'll get into it in my final thoughts. Here he is with G2 Legends class Core Megatron, Universe Legends Megatron, and one of my previous reviews, Newage Tata. So, he's pretty small, average Newage carbot size, and getting the size comparison out of the way. He looks great. I mean, he really does look the part of a Lancia. The color scheme is beautiful. It just looks fantastic. Rolls perfectly. Great car. Definitely just 9.5 out of 10 off rip because I don't like these visible flatheads. It's almost perfect. Then out of nowhere, these visible flatheads just kind of break the immersion, and oh god, it was so close. If the alt mode was perfect, I might have been more forgiving of the robot mode, but man, The transformation to get here was fine, but like there were some issues. Like for example, you have to rotate the wrists around, which is just an absolute pain. Again, you have to use the gun as like leverage to do it. It's just, why are they tolerance so tight? There's no reason for them to be tight. They don't support any weight. They can be loose as hell. It'd make no difference. Like the alt mode is great, and we're basically getting into final thoughts here. But the majority of my appreciation for this toy is the alt mode. The reason I'm so harsh on this figure is because Newage usually prices the repaints 10% more expensive than the base model. For example, if Power Glide is $37, the repaint's like 40, maybe 42. If Sludge is 65, the Shattered Glass version is 71. The Sea Spray 2-pack is 50. The Sea Spray repaint 2-pack is $54.99. This toy is $48. 2 in Wheeljack was $37. This is unacceptable. I'm not going to pay a 30% upcharge for a repaint. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why this one particular toy is so expensive when the releases after have returned to the usual repaint pricing. I mean, the price is crazy. The straight up price is crazy. Unjustifiable. It only comes with like one extra accessory that's unique and a new head. Not worth it. I paid out the ass for it because I really love Slicer. I love the deco. I love the Energon downshift reference. And, you know, I mean, I was willing to pay it, but I regret it immensely. As for the figure itself, I think the mold is, for lack of a better word, trash for a 2023 Newage release. I think that it could have been immensely better if they let it cook more and they didn't rush it out, because their production was already fine without Wheeljack. They didn't need to push out Wheeljack before Chinese New Year, so I think they definitely rushed this figure. Huge mistake. There's just so many parts of this figure that needed to go back to the drawing board. People complained about Hound having a gap between his hips and his waist, and the reason for that was very apparent, so that he could use his waist swivel and his hips independently. The fact this figure doesn't have that is a huge mistake. It's a huge downgrade from Hound and Power Glide. It's not even comparable to their Dinobots. I mean, I saw people comparing this to like Jazz, Prowl, Mirage, Hound, etc. All the 4 of those figures are better than this. Mirage has an elegant transformation, a better alt mode. Hound just blows it away in robot mode in terms of dynamism and being fun to transform. And Prowl and Jazz came out in 2018 and are more posable than this figure. That is, I can pose the hips and the waist independently, which any modern transformer can do. You pick up a random Legacy Shadow Striker from Walmart, and the hips and the waist work independently. You pick up a random every single figure I've used in my comparisons has a waist swivel and the hips that work independently. So I just don't understand how that's a mistake on a Newage toy that costs $50 and is the size of a Hot Wheel in 2023. I have a way higher standard from Newage than this. This is a huge disappointment. I was really excited for this figure, and it's just a real pain that it's this bad. This review sounds really negative and really harsh, but it's just unfiltered how I feel. I didn't want to like tone it down, because I do feel that like a lot of the criticism on this figure at Handwave is like, oh my god, it's the Magic Square fanboys just dissing on Newage like they always do. And no, the criticism is completely justified. People saying this feels terrible are completely justified. I do not understand how anyone could get this out of the box with that absolutely floppy waist and not be immediately turned off. It comes in alt mode. So the alt mode looks great. Other than that one flathead, which has no reason to exist and could have been done differently, then you get it out of the box and oh my god, you transform it and you're like, there's no way I'm done. But you're done because they didn't cook it. This toy is uncooked. They're feeding me raw chicken at my chicken sandwich place, and I am pissed. I am getting salmonella playing with this toy. This is not performative outrage. I mean, I swear I don't like this thing. You know, that's just how I can. That's how I can say it. I mean, I don't like it. If I could return it, I would. Honestly, I'm not gonna keep it for long. I mean, I think I already have a buyer lined up to sell this, but like, you know, I even feel even bad because I don't. It's not good. I'm ranting at this point, but you know, the actual review itself was shorter, so this will still come in shorter than my other reviews. But the alt mode is good, you know? The alt mode is good. It's about as good as Newage Tata, which is a bad figure who came out 4 years ago and was a bad figure then, or 5 years ago, I guess. So you can cope that way, I guess. Oh, but the alt mode is good. Who cares? The alt mode is trash. It looks ugly. It handles ugly. It feels ugly. I'm sorry. I don't care about the cartoon. I don't care if it's the first tune accurate wheeljack or whatever. Fix the waist, fix the hips, fix the entire chest assembly. Back to the drawing board. This is a huge fail from Newage. So I can't recommend this. If you love Energon Slicer like me and you can live with all the issues, maybe this particular version. The Tune Wheeljack version is only $37, so I guess if you are a huge tuner and you just want a wheeljack to put on your shelf, then yeah, sure, go for it. I'm not going to tell you to spend your money. I don't think it's worth the money. I don't think you should buy it, but I'm not in charge of your finances, and my opinion is just my opinion. It should not have any reflection whatsoever on your opinion. I try to show things in an objective manner, but sometimes I just feel really negatively about this toy, and it's going to color this review. I'm sorry in advance. I apologize. I'll try to give a more balanced and tempered take in my next video, but this toy was just a huge disappointment for me. Thank you everyone for watching. This is Souls Convoy signing out. Have a great one.